actually back on the Yukon project, which is peeking out over there. And the good folks at Super Clean sent us a nice care package. It seems they knew a part 2 was probably coming with the owner. So let's check out what they sent us. All right, so open up the package. We got a nice Super Clean. That's soft. Nice Super Clean shirt. That's gonna go awesome. Love the soft shirts. Super Clean hat with the Star Spangled Banner on the back. That's awesome too. That'll come in handy. Beat some of this heat out here. I'm in the shade right now, but got some of the great product lineup. And let's see what else they sent. Looks like we got cleaner-degreaser, and that's going to go perfect on that Yukon over there. Cleaning up those valve covers, the rear end, before we dig into everything and get everything nice paint job. We have wheel cleaner. That's going to go good because this truck is ridiculously dirty, as well as those wheels. And then we have cleaner-degreaser in a spray form, so that's awesome. So yeah, we're going to put all these things to the test. Wheels, valve covers, and rear end. Let's get into it. For those of you that did not see part 1, this thing was towed in. It was not running. We sorted the issue, new distributor, and also changed out the spark plug wires and basically did a tune-up, and that solved the problem, which was the distributor. The tune-up was just preventative maintenance. We also changed the oil pressure switch. As you can see, this hood is just, underhood is just disgusting. Between overspray, just wear and tear from an older vehicle like this. So the owner is wanting to clean up the underhood a little bit, and what better way than try out some Super Clean products and see how they go under here. So this is going to be before, and I'll show you after it's done, and a little bit of during and while it's working. So this is the underhood. Get in here real good. They are a little bit corroded, but let's see what this cleaner does, see if it brightens them up any. And we'll also show you all that and how that goes. End, which we're going to put a gasket on, but while we're under here, we're going to spray some cleaner on it and see what happens. Make it nice and clean under here, and then we'll change the gear fluid and inspect the rear and keep that diff from continuously dripping. So he has many more years under his belt with it. So I'm not sure how well that focused, but that is the rear diff. Obviously got a little leak. We're going to clean that up, repaint it, re-put new gear fluid in it. We have all the parts to do so, so we're going to clean everything first and then go back in and make it nice and paint it after that. But first things first, let's see how the Super Clean does. The hood we're going to clean up is we're going to repaint the actual air cleaner lid to make it look nice. And we're going to actually redo the gaskets and might as well paint the valve covers. So while that's happening, before that happens, they're covered in oil just from leaks and just general things. So we're going to spray some of this cleaner and see how it does before we get in there and start. We're going to give it a little spray. I'm going to sop it down. We're going to give this firewall some cleaning too, because it is gross up here. Like I said, this thing's lived a life. It's lived a lot of places across the country. So we are going to get a nice underhood cleaning going, and then we're going to also clean it up and repaint what we need to. You can see this stuff is already starting to work. And this is the Super Clean biodegradable detergent cleaner degreaser. So we're going to spray this all over. Let's see if it gets the overspray out too. I'm intrigued because it might. We're also going to get the intake. We're going to let all this sit and see if it cleans up everything. All we have is a garden hose, so we do not have pressure behind this. I know I'm going to get somebody in the comments saying you shouldn't be spraying that around electrical, yada yada yada, whatever. It's going to be no pressure garden hose. I mean, my finger might get the most pressure, but before somebody comes at me and says you should be spraying that around electrical, Engine bay down, no scrubbing or anything. We let it sit. It's probably been about 5 minutes or so. You can always see the AC lines right here that have a bunch of gunk on them. A lot cleaner. Firewall's looking a lot cleaner already. We haven't put any pressure or water on it. Just spray. No, not even no scrubbing or anything like that. So just a quick little spray. We're gonna let it soak for 5 to 10 minutes, and then while we're doing that, we're gonna spray some wheel cleaner on here and see what that's about. So we're just gonna coat this wheel pretty generously. I'd say that's pretty good. We're gonna let that sit for a few minutes and see what she looks like after. All right, so this is the rear end, and we're going to try the spray super clean and see. Wow, that comes out with a punch. And as you can see, that coated pretty well. Didn't have to hold it down very long, if at all. We're going to clean this whole rear end off. Try to get all this caked on grease out of here. So we're going to coat this thing and let it sit and do its thing, just like the underhood. Not going to scrub, and we're going to see what happens. Wow, this foams up nice. I can only hope that it cleans just as good as it comes out and foams. We're going to check back in a few minutes and see what it looks like. Pipe water, give that a little rinse. No scrubbing, just hit it with a little bit. Looks shiny. Let's see what it does after it dries. Same thing with under here. Let's give it a little hand rinse. That firewall is already 10 times better. Just from looking at it, I can tell you that. That's insane. I can actually see the valve cover again already. And again, no pressure, just hose water. Man, that valve cover is coming out better already. Less oil on it. We're still going to paint it, but man, you can't beat that. Well, you can see the shock's yellow again, and it got a good bit of the oil off this rear diff and around it, so that means I will get less dirty when I take it off, which is nice. So we're going to get this all nice and cleaned off. I'd say it did pretty dang good. Who knew that shock was yellow before? It was faint and muddy. Now you can tell it's a Bilstein shock again. Well, we're going to let that dry and I'll show you all the outcome, but I am very pleased just from spraying that on here. No scrub again. Didn't even touch it. Let it sit for 5-10 minutes. I'd say it knocked 90% of the crud off of it. So when we go to service it, it's going to make life a lot more easier. But again, let me let all this dry and I'll show you all the results. Drying, as you can tell, it's wet in spots. This is starting to dry. The plastic's starting to dry out a little faster. It's already night and day difference on the firewall. A little scrubbing and that would probably be solid white and clean. There's a few spots where it's just baked in from years and years. The only thing it did not clean, obviously got all the gunk off the valve covers. As you can see here, there's some rust spots showed up that I did not even see before. That's how oily they were. Again, we're going to take these valve covers off, but being clean makes basically so I won't get dirty, and it also looks better around it, the area being clean. We won't have to worry about anything getting into the motor when we take those off. The only thing it did not clean off is this overspray from the painter. Overspray happens, it is what it is. We can get this off. I was not expecting Super Clean to take that off. I would be actually very worried if it took paint off. That's good. We can spray it directly on things without it eating through it. So there's some on the battery, some right here, and then also some on this plastic up here. It's just where tape didn't get put down great. So we'll get that cleaned up. We'll get all this stuff nice and tidy and clean and renewed. And yeah, I'd say obviously it hasn't finished drying yet. We'll get a full analysis once it's dry, but I'd say we're off to a flying start with getting this underhood cleaned up, so the owner can be proud of the underhood as well as he can, given the new paint job, and then also just how mint this interior is. So we want the underhood to match what the interior and the outside looks like, and then also the rear diff getting service means we won't have to worry about blowing up the rear end anytime soon. We got some nice Amsoil products in for the rear as well. All right, we drove back over to my shop. The water hose is down the road. I haven't piped in water down here. So we drove it. It's just about dry with the exception of the air cleaner lid because it's puddled up on there and a little bit on the valve cover over here. So pretty much it is dry. I would say that came pretty dang clean minus the overspray. Nothing you can do about that. I'll get that cleaned off with a different product. Probably just a little bit of lacquer thinner, not much because I don't want to burn the plastic. But I would say that worked tremendously well. That is the underhood. That is the wheel, which has a little shine to it. The corrosion's still there. And the rear end is dry except for the bottom where the oil was kind of built up. Yeah, that came pretty exceptionally clean, given just sprayed on there. I didn't know that shock was yellow until I sprayed it, so that's nice and clean except for the bottom where it's caked on, and then we're going to take that off. So that will save me from getting super dirty, but I like the stuff. I will definitely be ordering some more. It is a new day, and we are here to rebuild this gasket on this rear end and keep it from leaking. The front pinion still looks good, so we're going to clean up this rear cover, get a new gasket on it, and also get some new fluid in it and inspect the inside to make sure it's good to last for a while. So we're going to start by getting these bolts removed and letting the forbidden chocolate milk out. So join me as we do that. If you ever go to do a rear and have not done one before, leave a bolt somewhere up top about midway loose. And the reason for that is this doesn't pop just straight off and it makes a mess. It's a little easier if you leave a bolt up top and then just kind of give it a little pry until it just kind of pops that seal at the bottom. And then you get this little runoff just like it just did That's exactly what we want to see. Let me pop this side. Yeah, that's what we want to see. Forbidden milkshake. All right. Now that it's popped loose, then you can remove that screw and set it off to the side. It just makes less mess this way. Fluid's pretty dark and nasty without even looking really at the insides. I'm hoping the gearing is okay on the inside. And this can come off now to drain. Cover looks fine. I don't see a whole lot of metal around that magnet. And the rear teeth on the gears look pretty good. Let me get in here a little closer for y'all. So that actually looks fairly good in there. So I don't have to do any work in there. Don't need to tighten anything up. The teeth all look good. No scarring or issues. The cover doesn't really have any metal shavings on that magnet. So we should be good to flush it, get a new gasket put on it so it's not leaking anymore, and send this thing back together for many more years of use. All right, so we have the outside of it cleaned up, and it is important also, we're gonna repaint it, but it's important also to have a smooth surface for your gasket and your RTV to go on. It's on. I just sprayed it down with brake clean after scrubbing it again just to make sure we don't have any oil to mess with the paint. We'll paint it once it's dry. Once I can get this thing to focus, that is the fill, essentially entry point. So there is a spec for how much fluid this thing holds. You can also take this loose, and then once fluid starts coming out, you can assume it's probably full. That is one or two ways to do it, whichever way you prefer. So we are going to crack that open. Sometimes you have to take I usually take a pocket knife and kind of pick at that a little bit, but it's just a 3/8 drive extension will go in there, or a ratchet to break it loose. Just try to get it in there real good before you turn so you don't strip it out. But that is the fill line, so we're going to get that thing open and get this thing filled up. Amsoil pouches make it super easy to get this in here without making a huge mess. So normally I'd be trying to use a fill line or something else. See, I got all the fluid that I'm supposed to have in there, and it is slowly dribbling out the bottom. That's an easy sign that you are filled and ready to go. So we'll get the excess cleaned off and put this plug back in, and we'll be good to go. All right, diff cover is painted. It is back on. New gasket, new fluid. We should be able to go for a ride here in just a sec, and then we can get started on cleaning up the underhood. All right, so the passenger side valve cover we have off, and with 260,000 miles, you'd think it would look a little bit worse in here, but it actually looks pretty good. I'm astonished. The gasket was completely dried out. Just letting the oil get all pushed out of there. So new gasket, she'll seal right up, and then we're gonna go ahead and clean up that valve cover and paint it. Get this top end looking a little bit nicer. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, so we worked late, and where I had the work done, didn't have much light, so I did not film any of that. However, it is pretty much a point where I am comfortable with the work. The underhood is now cleaned up. As you can see, the air cleaner is all clean, repainted, nice. Same with the valve covers, repainted, nice. And we also gave the underhood a quick little detail to go with all the cleaning products from Super Clean. So everything's nice and somewhat refreshed. There's only so much you can do with some of this old plastic. There's just no life left in it, hardly. So I'm comfortable with it. I'm gonna see what the owner thinks about it, and thank y'all for staying with me this long on the video. I know it's a long video, a lot of processes with the rear end and then the underhood getting cleaned up. Hopefully the customer's happy, and maybe we can get some more work done on this thing. Who knows?